Throughout history, many powerful empires have achieved great victories thanks to their elite soldiers and their absolute prowess on the battlefield. Today, I want to focus on my pick for 5 elite military units in history that make the ground shake and their enemies tremble. First, we are visiting Hoplites in ancient Greece 7th to 4th centuries BCE. Hoplites were citizen soldiers of ancient Greek city-states who were primarily armed with spears and shields. Their main deal was using the phalanx formation in combat effectively with fewer soldiers. They mostly consisted of free citizens, mainly farmers who were able to afford a piece of armor and a weapon. A vast majority lacked the proper military training. Some states kept a small professional unit called epilektoi, or chosen. Somewhere in the 7th century BCE, the Greek armies adopted the phalanx formation, which proved quite useful in the First Greco-Persian War. Another battle featuring hoplites was the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BCE. I'm sure you know that one. The only weakness of the phalanx was being attacked from the flanks. Next, we're off to the Roman Empire, 1st to 4th centuries, and the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard was an elite unit of the Imperial Roman army that served as personal bodyguards and intelligence agents for the Roman emperors. In 27 BCE, after Rome went back from Republic to Empire, its first emperor Augustus deployed the Praetorian Guard as his personal security escort. Over the next 3 centuries, the Praetorians had quite the political power too, as they were able to overthrow the emperor and proclaim his successor as the new Caesar. In the year 312, the Praetorian barracks at Castra Praetoria were destroyed by Constantine the Great, which resulted in Praetorian Guard being disbanded. The main weakness of the Praetorians was their self-motivation and their corruptive nature. Next stop, feudal Japan 1185 to 1868 and the samurai. If you've been watching Photon Feast for a while, you already know a good deal about the samurai. They were the hereditary military nobility of medieval and early modern Japan, also well-paid retainers for the daimyo, the great feudal landholders. They were usually armed with 2 swords and had the right to kill anyone of the lower class if needed. The samurai followed the Bushido codes of martial virtues, which were also instructions about what samurai should act like. As modern families emerged in the 19th century, the samurai became redundant and also much more expensive to maintain compared to your regular soldier. The main weakness of the samurai were long-range attacks and also units armed with spears. Next item on the list, Knights of Medieval Europe, 11th to 14th centuries. A knight is any person who was granted an honorary title of knighthood. Knights were often vassals, serving as elite fighters or bodyguards for lords. They were heavily armored, skilled in horseback combat, and armed with a great set of weaponry, including a long sword, battle axe, dagger, and a metal-meated mace. Needless to say, knights were much more skilled in hand-to-hand combat than other soldiers, and they were formidable foes on the battlefield. Their biggest weakness were heavy armors, which could sometimes limit their movement, and they were also vulnerable to gunpowder-based weapons. Our last stop, Janissaries of the Ottoman Empire, 1363 to 1826. Janissaries were members of the elite infantry that formed the Ottoman Sultan's household troops. They began as child slaves who became famed for their internal cohesion perfected by strict discipline. They were paid regular salaries unlike other slaves. They were mainly armed with yataghan swords and bows, but their arsenal sometimes included a long-ranged arquebus. By the 17th century, the Ottoman standing army was drastically increased and the rigorous discipline became more lenient, which resulted in many civilians buying their way into the janissary ranks. Gradually, they lost their military character and became civilized. Just like with the Praetorians, their weakness was their corrupt nature. Thanks for watching. Did I forget to mention some of your favorites? If so, make sure to tell me in the comments below. And for more videos like this one, consider subscribing to my channel Photon Feast. Until next time, goodbye.